All right. Good morning, or wherever you are in the world. Good day. So, Ayya Sobana asked if I would do the guided meditation this morning. I'm Ayya Niyyanika. I was trained at Dhammadharini and am now with Ayya Suhajana, who also had been trained at Dhammadharini up in Washington State, Olympia at Pasadi Vihara. So coming to you from Washington. Yesterday, Ayya Suhajana and I were up at Clear Mountain Monastery in the Seattle area. And a lot of the questions that were coming through after the talk were about anger. And were about, is anger ever good? Questions I'm sure all of you have encountered too. What is the opposite of anger? And one of the things that Ayya said was, in the suttas it talks about if with anger you want to, throw something at someone, but it's like taking a hot coal. You may or may not burn the person that you're angry at or the situation you're angry at, but you very, very will burn yourself. So Buddhism is one of the unique places in the world where we don't ever advocate for anger. Now, there may be qualities of strength and resourced, and I'm going to support or change that can be wholesome underneath that. So today we're going to do a guided meditation to facilitate the holding, so that when you come up with a situation where anger might be the response that you're habituated to, instead you can take a pause and make a choice. I listened to something from Bhante Analayo recently, where he said somebody had said something that he felt that little spark, but he said, I know this is anger. This is the seed of anger. And so he made the choice. I am not going to respond, just was neutral in the response to that person. And then once his own system was resourced and he was back into equanimity, he could go back to that person and say, that doesn't work for me. So this is our training today, is to get to a place where we can take a pause. It's an ongoing training. This is a sample where we can take a pause and then respond with love, that we can respond with a heart that's open, that we can respond with being very grounded and centered and resourced, and bring in equanimity and metta as we make a choiceful response to whatever it was that sparked us. So with that in mind, consider taking a posture that's going to be supportive for calming, for settling, but staying alert, attentive, able to taste and test and drop. So we're taking a posture. For me, I'm in a kind of traditional cross-legged, sitting on the floor style. So for me, that means I'm going to rock my pelvis a little bit forward and back, side to side, to find that spot where I can rest on the ground below me. Whether you're standing or lying down or seated, this is a feasible thing to just find that stability, the stability of the surface below you. And then, as if we are breathing into the body and breathing down into that surface below us, getting a real sense of stability. Next, we can think of the direction above us as if we're lifting up into that, still connected with the ground below us, but lifting up and then relaxing using the breath as if the breath and our attention is going upward. Now aware of that surface below us, all of the parts of the body that are touching the surface below, all of our body that's facing up and into the spaciousness above us. Aware in both directions as we breathe out. Down and up. Relaxing both down and up, letting gravity support us, but still with an attentive upward sensibility. Often just this much is stabilizing, as if we're dignified and balanced. Now you can either add in or specifically cultivate breathing forward, knowing our attention in the space in front of us. Your eyes can be closed or they can be open. Aware of the space in front of us, as if it's radiating out on our out breath. In the space behind us, letting our attention flow behind us on the out breath. Pick one side, as if the breath is leaving out that side of the body, spacious, relaxed, supported. And then the other side, letting the attention, the breath, this strength of relaxation, as if it's leaving the body with our attention out that second side of the body. So we've had attention and breath in 6 directions, down and up, in front, behind, and each side. Allowing the breath to come into the body, and as if the breath were radiating out from all of us in all directions. And either on the breath or as the breath leaves, feeling a sense of stable relaxation, supported ease. Sensing the whole body breathing. This is cultivating a stable, supported, open, expansive awareness. And the last step is to introduce that warmth of the heart, the metta, that loving friendliness based out of equipoise, equanimity, based out of stable, balanced uprightness. In whatever way your practice brightens your heart, bring that love and warmth into the central part of the body, near the heart space. Notice if there's any mirroring of that in other parts of the body, such as the mouth or the eyes. Including all of yourself in this warmth, this well-wishing, this kindness. And allowing that kindness, that warm-heartedness, the smile of the heart, to ride out on our awareness, on our breath in all directions, above, below, around, and everywhere. And if you've been directing the breath, the in and out flow, allowing that to relax, just letting breathing happen, and the awareness continue unbounded from this steady, stable, balanced body awareness, riding out in all directions with the warmth of kindness. Sensing the body as a whole, noticing if there are parts that could soften, have a little more ease. Let the warmth of your heart touch those places in your own body that could use a little bit. And then again, from that softer place, radiating the warmth out into the world, all around, unbounded, steady and relaxed in the body, radiating warmth of the heart. And I'll be silent now. You can continue this practice going back into the body, noticing what can soften, warming the heart, and letting that warmth radiate in all directions out into the world from your stable, steady, relaxed centrality of yourself, your practice radiating into the world. Throughout this practice, you can return and steady any of these elements. That sense of groundedness, the uplift, the awareness in all directions, the relaxed ease in the body, the warmth of the heart, and radiating kindness. Return to those elements that need a little attention at any time during your practice. We are conditioned beings. And this practice is conditioning us to be in the world and in our practice stable, steady, warm-hearted, expansive, capacitated to respond. When we encounter an injustice or an unfairness in our own minds, in the actions of others, in our own actions, can we remember we are all conditioned beings? Of course, it's like this. And commit to practicing this stable, warm-hearted, open, loving power as we meet the difficulties of life. Seeing with wisdom, responding with love, compassion, and balance. And for the next 5 minutes or so, in silence, returning to whatever part of the practice needs a little attention and support. And if you've reached a place of ease and warm-heartedness, rest in that. Noticing the effects of this practice in our own hearts, in our bodies, our minds. This practice is itself a sharing of merits. As we adjust our conditioning, as we train to be steady and warm in the world, we directly share the merits of this practice. Now, with our warm hearts and the way we carry ourselves into the difficulties of life. Ding.
Vulnerable for questions. Our members are used to putting their hand up if they have a question or a comment. And I usually highlight them so they can be seen.
Oh, wonderful. Are you able to run that?
I'm able to do that, yes.
Thank you, Ayya. So curious how this landed for you or any questions that have come up. Diana. And if I'm mispronouncing anyone's name, please speak your own name out so that we can hear it correctly.
Hi. It's so interesting that you were talking about anger, because of course for many years I dealt with that. One of my parents, my mom, borderline personality disorder, and I was the target. And the thing, that I learned about anger is, well, the first lesson in A Course in Miracles, which I don't know if you've ever heard of that text, was the first lesson is you're never upset for the reason you think. And in a situation that can bring up the anger, it can trigger from the first from the first incident, from the first time you got angry, and years of being attacked by someone, years of emotional and abuse and torture, can, and it took quite a few years of recovery work. And I never had substance abuse, like alcohol or drug problems. But recovery, it can be from something. And when recovering from that, it's like it's layers and layers. And I likened it to being covered with big wet wool blankets, because wet wool is heavy and it stinks, and getting that off layer by layer, the layers of, because it is it's in recovery, it's like you're recovering and then you're discovering who you are. And then when you finally open up to who you are, it's amazing. that's what I would call the rebirth of yourself. The the finding who you are, and you're talking into love and feeling that love of who you are. And boy, when the light opens up and it just, oh,
Yes,
that first time it flows through you, up and down and up and down and up and down through your, I mean, you can feel it going through your body like electricity.
yes, and the electricity aspect of it
Mm-hmm.
is a reconditioning. And then eventually it maybe that's like it gets our attention, it lights us up.
Mm-hmm. And it brings up the things. The thing is, it brings you from a lower vibrational level to a higher vibrational level, and
It-
it brings up everything that needs to be healed. It's like,
yes.
oh,
Okay. So what I'm hearing is you're really speaking to that conditionality. So for so many years, you and all of us
mm-hmm.
have been through whatever we've been through, and we've been conditioned by it.
Yeah.
And our culture, says anger is an appropriate response right now. Our animal wiring says, "Arr." Yes. And so as we begin to experience what it is to actually soften and stabilize and open, expand, warm the heart, we figure out that that is a much more, the Buddha talks about powers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
These are,
the superpower.
this is the superpower we want to embody in our practice and in the world. So thank you for the way and you've also mentioned this is not we meditated for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a 30-minute fix. So we're conditioned for a long time
It
through
took me 10 years
10 years.
from the
That
time I started my recovery.
that is a beautiful length of time to commit to your
Mm-hmm.
cultivation. So
And I
thank you.
can't say I did any one thing, but I did a lot of reading and a lot of listening, a lot of meditating in my own way,
Mhm.
and then I'm coming to this practice now. And and you work on it. I remember a friend of mine asking me, "When are we ever finished?" I said, "Oh, we're never finished."
Yeah, well, luckily, okay, I'm gonna, and then open up for others. I'm gonna say, luckily, we can finish. That is what the Buddha is giving us a absolute ultimate relief from suffering. So once there is that full, deep, I mentioned seeing with wisdom and then responding from this compassionate place. It is possible. So the Buddha teaches us that, if it's 10 years, 100 years, 100 lifetimes, it is possible to actually live in this stable, present peacefulness amidst it all. So thank you so much for your sharing. Others. Oh, I see Ayasobana's mouth moving.
There's a comment from Mitakanti.
Oh,
Something that comes to mind was Venerable Analayo's simile of metta as the sun, warming up the body and mind.
yes, yes. So that is one wonderful approach to, I didn't go into the multiple methods we can have for warming the heart. But a very natural one that we've all experienced is the warmth of the sun. So can we take not a scorching, but that you've been chilled and you go out and you can just feel the warmth, the body, you kind of get this relaxed sensation when you're in the warmth of the sun after it's been, a little bit chilly, and you just relax, bring that into the heart, and then be the sun and relax into the sun and be that brightness in the world. So thank you.
And one more comment. Nirmala wrote, Are you in Western Washington, Ayya?
Yes, so we're trying to be the sun on a rainy day in Olympia, Washington. So it's kind of in Western Washington at the southern part of the Sound. Accessible. Please drop into our Zoom programs, or we have a small place, but can come here too for the meal offerings is the main time. How have people used this kind of practice? Have you, so we've heard about using it in our recovery, and that is an absolute necessary component for us to be able to be bright in the world. Other ways that you've maybe used this in your jobs, in your encounters on the street, anything? Or how you would, a situation you'd like to apply it to? Something more in the chat there. Reactivity has lessened in me. Yeah, I think that's really it, and also about lessening PTSD. We can also lessen the PTSD in others. So the way that we're doing that is by being steady. We're not shaken. Actually, Ayya Sobhana once said that to me, that she was unmoved by my tears. And I took that as this amazing gift, that there was this steadiness with me, that I could just be experiencing what I was experiencing. So when we're not reactive. Let's see. Oh, yes, so the question there.
Here's Laurent.
Laurent, please.
Yes, hello, thank you. So over the years, my anger has pretty much dissipated, but my reactivity sometimes, like when somebody pushed me to the wall, let's say, it snaps still. I realize that it snaps right away and I can control it way more than I was like 10 years ago, but it still snaps, and that bugs me a little. Do you have maybe something that I can do to finalize this anger totally, and there would be no reactions? It's just
Well, yes, I totally get that. That snapping quality is because you're getting to more and more subtle levels of, the trigger is the big gross thing, but then there's this build up and pop, there it goes. So what I do is I say to myself, of course, sweetheart, of course. So I turn the kindness back onto my own conditioning, because we're reactive because we've been conditioned to react for a long, long, long time. So turn the kindness on to that snapping quality that's appeared, and to the fact that of course you're snapping. You will find that over time that, and a touch of humor is very helpful. It's like, oh, there it goes. You're not giving into it, you're not following it. You've got the wisdom and already built up enough resources within your practice to hold snapping. So Bhante Analayo was the one who was saying he saw that first spark of anger, and because of wisdom, he didn't follow it. So that is our training. The training is not to squash the spark. It's to know the spark, to respond to the spark with that same training of kindness, understanding the conditionality. And you will see over time, the sparkles get more sparkly, not painful. It's wonderful. You may be able to recall such a situation, or you will in the future recall when that spark would have gone off, and instead it was the warmth of compassion. When what you respond with is actually out of your new conditioning. And when you do, note that and rejoice in it so that you can use it again and again to warm your heart and continue that development.
Okay, sorry, my camera froze. Yes. So I think I'm at the stage where I snap, then I catch it, and I go, "Ah, such a silly thing to do." So you're saying be kind when that happens and reverse it with kindness instead of saying, "Oh man, I did it again." Just
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, and you can, oh man, I did it again, but let it be something playful and wise.
Okay.
Because of course you did it again. Yep. Human being doing human thing.
Thank you very much.
I see a physical hand. Diana?
I'm just singing the Britney Spears song. Oops, I did it again.
You could totally use that. Good.
There was a comment from Tessa about forgiveness.
Oh, yeah.
She wrote,
Yeah, could you read it out, please?
I'm trying to forgive people who have misunderstood and invalidate me. It's a
Very,
great question.
very valuable practice. First, been there, still do that sometimes. The first thing I really approach this with is, of course, I'm feeling like this. So just a week or so ago, someone said something to me, and there was another bhikkhuni standing next to me, and I felt that hook of oh, no, I'm not good enough for that, or and not like I messed up and I see something and I'm learning from it, but the comment to me was off. And yet I felt this hook of invalidation, and that I wanted to be known and seen, and and it, just like we were hearing about that spark of reactivity, that was my reaction. And it was out of me making my identity and needing to protect my identity. And I turned to the bhikkhuni next to me and I said, well, I'm not done with this work. So really do focus on understanding and caring for why that hook is there in the first place. Why is it when somebody says something, I'm feeling this way? We have social conditioning. Our society has told us what is valid and what is not. Any aberration from this, the perfect consumer and the perfect creator of our economy, or whatever the guideline is, of course, we are not valid on that metric. Yet our conditioning is still applying that metric. And it can be parents, it can be social groups, it can be systems that are telling us who we should be and whether we're valid, whether we're safe in that. So acknowledging the conditioning that's putting me in this spot to say, ouch, from their words. So this is a taking responsibility for my response. And I'm creating the ability to respond to them. So don't jump directly to forgiveness for someone else's behavior, attending to how is it landing here. And then the other side is the conditioning of that person. The reason they spoke that way or acted that way was out of all of the social and family pressures they've been through. This is not using something of calling excusing, it's not justifying, because we don't want them behaving in an unwholesome way either. But it is acknowledging, of course, they were speaking, acting that way. So forgiveness is not so much a thing in Buddhism. Understanding is, accepting is. So what you come to is this place of deeply knowing this person that did this is like that, responded in such a way, and I feel this because of the whole ball of wax called samsara and how we move in it. And then out of the conditioning of the warmth and the love and the stability in yourself, you will naturally move to embrace and accept who they are. You will also know how to set appropriate boundaries. So this is an amazing healing process right out of the Buddha's teaching. Thank you for bringing that up.
We can let Kusala have the last question.
Hi, thank you very much. It was just a comment. I often use the expression, especially in dealing with my brother, because of his habit energy towards sarcasm and anger.
Mm-hmm.
So when that comes up, I'm like, what would I expect? Of course. So when I come from that place of course, that's his habit energy, and of course, I would not expect any different reaction, then I can be more in that, not a surprised and shocked, how could you say that type of response. And the other comment, it just brought to mind whenever I'm in a situation like that, I look at me, it's always about my ego. How could they say that to me? Ego, taking it personally. It's all ego. And I like to think of the image of Mara fishing. So Mara's fishing and she's throwing the hook, right? She's throwing the bait and it's the bright shiny thing and it's usually anger. So she's throwing the bait of anger. And what do I want to, jump on it? Do I want to bite it and be caught in that anger and be thrown onto the shore? Of course not. I just want to watch that bait, that lure spin by. Some days it looks really attractive because some days my conditioning or my habit energy, it's my energy levels low or didn't sleep or whatever. So yeah, it's such a useful in so many ways around life. Yeah, thank you very much.
Wonderful. And that response you have of course, what I can hear in your voice is neutrality isn't quite the right word, because there's some warmth in it and there's also some humor in it, some lightness. And so we need to really cultivate that light, warm steadiness as we apply, of course. Otherwise, it can come out sounding like sarcasm.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's going to, regroove our sarcasm channels.
Right. Seeing seeing the sarcasm in someone else can bring up the sarcasm in me. But my name,
Normal.
yeah,
Absolutely.
my name is Judy. So then I go into, oh, Judge Judy. I really try to bring in humor and everything because it gives it that lightness, like you say, that lightness. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. I think we're approaching
Your
the
time.
the
Would
time.
you be happy to chant the Araham for us to take us out?
Absolutely. So if you wish, we have this lovely little Buddha here, or if you have, there's one behind Ayasobana's corridor, or you can just listen. Arahang Samha Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Sakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. All
Thank
right.
you, Venerable.
Thank you, Ayya.
Niyyanika.
And Ayya Suvijana also says hello, Ayya Sobana, wishing you well.
Very good.